So everyone and their mother know that if you're gonna buy an IEM under $100, there's really only a few options and only one king. Moondrop Aria, the $79 monstrosity. This thing has been recommended by myself many times, many other reviewers, a lot of different customers. The Aria is just the definitive king. Until today. Today, I'm happy to finally be announcing a co-ruler. This one is Dunu Titan S. Oh my god. Finally, something that can compete toe-to-toe with the Aria while at the same time not stepping on it. This is Aria quality, but differently tuned. So it's not the same product, it's not redundant, it's something new in under the $100 category that has the same quality as the Aria. It's exciting stuff. Let's jump into it. Hey friends, Tim, welcome back to another video on Giz Audio. Today we have the Dunu Titan S. Wow, it landed like perfect, see that? But yeah, the Dunu Titan S, let's start with the sound breakdown first before we jump into the comparison towards the end of the video. This thing to me, the signature wise, is neutral bright, and it's not super bright, whereas annoying, we'll touch on that later, is just a little bit on the analytical side of things. First, let's start off with the bass. This thing has a modest feeling bass with an emphasis on the mid bass, so you do feel some thumps and slams, but it's not gonna be the right amount of power for your average bass heads. So bass heads people, bass lover, you guys probably won't like the Dunu Titan S so much, but for those of us who just like some bass in our music and also really well controlled bass at that, there's no bleeding at all from the bass into the mid-range, this is very well done. Now the mid-range, now that we're on it, is very clean, very neutral and organic with very good energy in the upper mid-range. Now the energy here, although a lot, never came across shouty in any way. I think it rides the line of being almost shouty territory, but it never really touched that. What it brings to the table is overwhelming sense of liveliness. So male vocals, female vocals, instruments that live in the higher octave, all comes very forward and very lively, if you will. Now the one downside to having a signature that is this clean, I'm talking about the separation between the bass and the lower mid-range, is it can come across a little bit too clean, too analytical, and lacking that kind of low-end warmth. The Aria has this kind of warmth that the Dunu Titan doesn't have. For example, the Aria is gonna feel a little bit more emotional than the Titan S. But the trade-off is the Titan S sounds very referencey, clean, and analytical. So these are two different types of signature, but that is the downside of having an IEM that sounds too clean. It might comes across less emotional than IEM with a little bit of warmth. So keep that in mind. But again, that's all preference. For me, the Dunu Titan S as a reference style IEM is tuned almost to perfection. From the bass all the way to the upper mid-range, the analytical style, the unveiled clarity of the mid-range is very well done, and it's a quality that you find in IEMs usually more expensive than this. The balance between how much the bass is, how much the treble is, the upper mid-range is done very well on the Titan S, and I'm super impressed. Just keep that in mind that it might sound a little bit too clean for some of you guys out there. Next, we're gonna talk about the treble area of the Dunu Titan S, arguably one of the other highlights of the Titan S. It is just done so good here. The treble energy is nice, but it's never too much. It doesn't really have any sibilance in any way in any of the songs that I've tested, while still at the same time being able to bring forth good energy, good extension level to all the vocals and all the instruments to make them really sound alive and organic. The treble here also highlights good amount of micro nuances as well. Due to how much you get in the treble here, the little details or the finer details in the music comes across forward and quite clear and crispier I should say, than any other IEM under $100, even when compared to something like the Moondrop Aria. So in summary, treble-wise, the Dunu Titan S is simply one of, if not the best treble response you can get under $100, and I would even say under something like $200, because I can't really think of any other IEM off the top of my head that is under $200 that has treble response this good. Next, we have technical performance, details, resolution, soundstage, and imaging. Now first, let's bring up my scale. This thing is as resolving as the Moondrop Starfield. The only IEM that resolved this well at the same price is literally the Moondrop Aria. The Tin T3 Plus is another IEM that comes close, but that's still below the Aria in my personal opinion. But the Titan S is the only IEM ever to come toe-to-toe with the Aria, and some would even say it's better than the Aria due to how much more details you get off of the treble area that the Aria kind of lacks. Yeah, there's that. $79. Probably one of the most resolving IEMs you can grab under $100. It's quite something. Next is soundstage and imaging. Now soundstage wise, this thing is average and above. So it has a little bit wider soundstage than your average IEM, which is a very good thing because most IEMs are average. I would say though that it has more of a width appeal, left to right wideness than a tall feeling. It doesn't really have that kind of grandeur, but it does have a sense of air, a sense of wide left to right space, if you will. Imaging wise is fairly accurate, not extremely pinpoint. The base area is the area that kind of lacks a little bit of that kind of imaging shops. But in all the other areas, imaging is fine. I would say again, average and above, which is saying a lot because again, imaging and soundstage wise, most IEMs are average. Now on to the segment everyone's been waiting for, the comparison segment. Today we're going to be comparing the Dunu Titan S to two IEMs, the first one being the Moondrop Aria and the second one being the Tin T3 Plus. All these three IEMs are, I would say, the trifectas of the price. They all do something a little bit differently. So owning all three of them here is actually not a bad thing if you do want to own all three of them. I don't think you'd be disappointed with these, but yes, under $100, these three IEMs are said to be the three best. So let's compare them. Now, the Dunu Titan S versus the Moondrop Aria. The Moondrop Aria is gonna have immediately more bass presence, immediately more fun. The mid-range as well feel a little bit more emotional and a little bit more filled in because it does have a little bit of warmth from the bass there. So the Aria is gonna feel, I guess, more organic than the Dunu Titan S overall in the vocal or mid-range area, and also more fun in the bass. What the Titan offers is a modest bass, very clean analytical referencey sound. I would say more audiophile tuned than the Aria, but comes at a cost of maybe being a little bit too clean. The mid-range on the Titan S is more forward than the Aria, so female vocals and male vocals and all the instruments comes across more lively and more extended than the Aria, more intimate. I should say that, more intimate makes more sense. In the treble area is where the Dunu Titan S beats the Aria almost outright. The Aria has decent treble, not the best treble extension out there. That's always one of the biggest faults with the Aria, is that the treble extension is not the best and it needs a little bit extra to make every instrument feel as natural as they can be. This is where the Dunu Titan S comes into play. With the treble that this has, it is simply again one of the best treble you can get. Everything feels natural, lively, and forward, and the micro nuances highlighted with the treble of the Titan is more apparent than what the Aria can deliver. All in all, these two are side grade IEMs, so they're both at the same quality, even detail retrieval wise. It just depends on what kind of signature you like best. Do you want more fun bass, more kind of natural emotional vocals and mid-range, then the Aria is the one to go for. If you want a referencey style audiophile type tuning with clean sound, analytical sound, then the Titan S is the way to go. Titan S versus Tin T3 Plus. Now this is a lot of the same story as the Aria because the T3 Plus is basically the Aria slightly bit more V-shaped, so the same comparison applies. If you want more fun in your IEM or the most fun possible out of the three, you would go with the Tin T3 Plus. If you want the most hi-fi experience, the most audiophile type tuning, then you would go with the Dunu Titan S, and the Aria is a nice fit in between the two. The pair with the most amount of details is gonna be the Titan S, beating over the Aria by a small margin, and the Tin T3 Plus is gonna be at the number 3 spot detail-wise, although again, not by much, just slightly beaten by the Aria. So all in all, summary, my final verdict of the Dunu Titan S. Should you get it? Absolutely yes. If you've been waiting to grab this set, if the sound signature sounds like it fits your need, or if you have not heard referencey style audiophile type tuning before, then the Dunu Titan S is probably one of the cheapest options out there for you to grab right now. It's a spectacular IEM that's able to go toe in toe with the Moondrop Aria, which has been the king for so long on its own. Today, no longer, the Titan S lives up there with the Moondrop Aria as the two best IEMs you can grab under $100 period. So yes, if you've been waiting to buy the Dunu Titan S, I urge you, it's time to pull the trigger.